but you can click through each and every one of your sections through here. You can insert a section, so you basically just go to the forwardmost section. So you want, right now I'm in cross section 0, so I'm right here. If I wanted to insert a section in between section 0 and 1, I just do that here. See how we create a section right there. Right now it's a point, but I think you get the idea there. So cool, you can choose to cut a section. So you see how we were just on that midsection there, we just cut it. We can also copy and paste a section. To say this section was this diameter and we wanted this section to also look like this section, we can copy it, go to the section we're trying to change, and then paste it, and then now it's the same, exactly the same geometry there. So I'm actually going to do that for this one. Paste, this one in the back, paste. Probably should make it a little bit smaller for the time being. Nice. And yeah, I'd say that's a good start right now. But yeah, let's look into this a little bit more so we understand what these mean now. So what num_u is going to do is it's going to change how many of these tessellations are in each section. So let's go to the end of the first section. You notice how you can't change any sections forward to section 0 because there isn't any sections forward to 0. So we go to section 1, and we're going to modify the tessellation in here. So I'm going to increase it. Notice how we get more tessellations. And there's general guidelines for how many tessellations to have, and we'll get to that later once we start finishing up this mesh. You see that we can push the tessellations more concentrated into one end of the section. So let's see what this does. Looks like we're pushing tessellations towards the nose, and if it's greater than 1, we're pushing it back towards the aft part of the section. And to get it on the extreme end, yeah, you can really see what this can do. But we'll get into that later. We might need to do that later, but that's just to show you what all this can do. Cool. Okay, so now this, the X, Y, and Z, this is just referring to where you're placing this cross section with respect to the nose. So basically, what this 0.25 is saying right now is, hey, this section is 25% along the fuselage. If you wanted to make it 10%, we just do 0.10, and we see we moved it to 10%. And this is the physical length. So this is 2.14 meters from the nose. That's what this is saying. So say we want to move this section that way for whatever reason, we can come in here and we can move this section. So yeah, make sure this is 0. Good. But yeah, so that's what that can do. You can move them in each dimension. You can also rotate. So let's see what this would do. Say we had this in this direction. We can rotate it about the x-axis, say 90 degrees. Okay, cool. You can see what that does. 180 degrees. Yeah, so that kind of thing. All right. I don't really use that too much. Uh-oh, what did I do? Oh, this is supposed to be 0.25. There we go. It's supposed to make this one 0. Cool. All right, so we've gone through this. You have all these different geometries. One thing that can be useful is the convert CEDIT, cedit. What you can do is you can click on it and you can actually modify the cross section of each yeah, you can just modify the geometry here. So say you're like, fuselage actually looks like this, or this or whatever. You can change that. You come here and make it a spline, where you can't really, actually you can. I don't use this too much, but if you want to get more exact cross sections, you can do that through here and change the width, height, all these things, which is going to be really useful if you're trying to get really exact. Change to a rectangle, ellipse, all these things. So, but just for right now, we're going to make it a circle, and to actually copy this section and paste it back on there. Nice. So that's cross section. That's probably where I spend most of my time, is just in here modifying each cross section. Skinning is another one that does take some time. So you might see back here that in between these two sections that it kind of bulges out a little bit. So let's see if we can fix that using skinning. So right now we're at cross section 0. Let's go all the way back to the aft cross section. So go all the way back there to the back one, and see this angle from the right side. So the right side would be this side. So this is the one we're trying to modify. And right now, right and left symmetry is activated, so whatever I do to this right side, it'll do to the left side. So let's reduce this angle, because it's currently at 45 degrees, see what this does. Oh, I made it more severe. Let's try the other way. Nice. So that seemed to help a little bit. Let's go back to this cross section. Maybe we can modify this to look a little better. Yeah, so pretty close. We see we're generally following this fuselage shape. I see we're missing a little bit here. Let's see if we can adjust that using skinning from the right side. Yeah, it looks pretty good. I see we start getting thicker around the fuselage if we keep doing that. So let's maybe not make it so severe. Yeah, it's pretty good. So you can see what skinning can do. So yeah, so we see we got a general fuselage going here. Let's move on to our wing. Make sure we're not selecting anything here, because if we were to have this selected and then create a wing, it would create the wing underneath the fuselage, which, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I usually don't do that. I just make sure nothing's selected and then click add. Add, and then now it's separate. So cool. So now let's try to fit this wing to our wing on our DA42. We can change the color, make it pretty, and we'll make this for right now 100. Why not? X form. Let's go ahead and move it back to where it starts. So probably about right there. Y location good. Z location, we might have to modify that later. No rotations or anything. This is all looking good. Nothing in mass. Plan. Yeah, we might reduce the span down a little bit here to about right there. Looks pretty good. Chord, we'll adjust this here in a second. Actually, we can do it now, because we know it's going to be a lot smaller before we get rid of the sweep. Yeah, so let's go into section, and let's get rid of this leading edge sweep. So sweep is basically just the wing is at an angle with respect to the fuselage center line. So if we want to get rid of the sweep, currently it's 30 degrees. Let's change it to 0. Nice, that looks good. And let's also get rid of this taper for the time being. So we have all these sections here. Let's go to taper and make it 1. So the taper ratio is just the ratio of the tip chord length divided by the root chord length. So see if we made this 2, the tip chord length is twice our root chord length.